Hello, everyone. Welcome to JWI's virtual leadership lunch. For those of you new to JWI, we are an organization committed to creating a world in which all women and girls thrive. In order to do so, we need to accomplish a couple of things. We need to end violence against women and girls. We need to work for pay equity and pathways to long term economic security. And we need to lift women's leadership because when women lead, women thrive. My name is Meredith Jacobs. I'm the CEO of JWI. We created this virtual leadership launch series actually about a year ago. We just love the opportunities to women to learn from other women. And I think I was sitting there at my desk during lunch once again, just shoveling a salad into my face while working also. And I thought, what an incredible time when we're all working, when we're all still at our desks, to just, you know, have that as a learning opportunity. Um, so I thought during this time when so many of us are socially distancing, when we're working remotely, when we're going through this incredibly challenging time and in a time that is such a threat to our health, that Liz Josefsberg would be the perfect host and workshop leader for this topic. We so often talk about self care and the importance of making sure that we are physically, mentally, emotionally healthy. And this is something that as women stereotypically we don't do. We take care of everyone else first at the risk of our own health. And as we know from any time you've been on an airplane, they always say you've got to put that mask on yourself first, that we can't take care of others unless we are strong. And that goes against our instincts to look to ourselves first, but we have to, especially now when there are even more demands on us. I'm assuming many of you at home are juggling increased responsibilities, increased stresses, and trying to do so much more at once than normal. And so we're gonna take the time to hear about ways that we can empower ourselves and stay healthy. So I want to use this time to introduce Liz. For those of you who are logging in now, you may see that if you've been at one of our lunches before, they're normally a Zoom call where you see yourselves, where you can speak and be part of the conversation. We have 200 registrants for this event, so we switched it to a webinar. I want to invite you to please, throughout the call, use the Q&A feature to type in your questions. I've asked Liz to use the first half hour to present, and then we will open it up to your questions, but we will make it as interactive as possible. So now I'd like to introduce our host for today, our expert. Liz Josefsberg is a wellness expert with a focus on habit formation and behavior modification with over 20 years in the industry. Liz has worked for some of the largest and most influential wellness companies in the world, including Weight Watchers, Lifetime Fitness, Optum, and United Healthcare, building wellness programs. Liz is the proud recipient, and we are very proud to claim her as one of our 2019 JWI Women to Watch. So with that, Liz, take it away.
Thank you, Meredith. I am really, really thrilled to be here with you guys today. And I hope to just really share a lot of positivity and a lot of empowerment today. I know that we're all struggling, and I know that these are unprecedented times, but I am an eternal optimist, and I'm going to hopefully help you guys all see that we have some control over the way that we care for ourselves right now. So without much ado, I'm going to jump in because I know you all are on tight schedules. I'm going to share my screen and make sure that we get this underway here. So I'm going to cover some health and wellness, some pillars that I'm hugely passionate about that will hopefully be things that you can think about in the next couple of days, weeks, months. You know, each and every one of them is a pillar that will help raise immunity right now, will keep you and your family healthier. And I thank Meredith for that introduction. I wanted to just give you a tiny bit more background so you understand where I'm coming from. I personally had a weight issue for much of my life. I struggled, and at my heaviest lost 65 pounds and worked to keep those off. So my entry into the wellness sphere was through weight loss. And I spent 11 years working every job there was to do at Weight Watchers, from a consumer all the way up to an executive level. From there, I started my own company 6 years ago and have worked all over the world with these large corporations. I went back to school, became a personal trainer, became a nutrition exercise specialist, but my focus has been technology and brain habit formation science. So we're going to talk a lot about how your brain works today and how we can trick it, how we can use its own patterns to create new and healthier patterns. I'm really excited to kind of introduce you to maybe something that you've heard on the fringes, but maybe didn't dive into really clearly. And I hope to give you a real clear explanation today about habit formation. So we as creatures are literally, I call us habit and ritual creatures. We live for habits and rituals. And what has just happened in this time of stress is that we have lost all of our habits and rituals. It's actually estimated that up to 50% of what we do in a day is simply a habit. And what a habit is this three-pronged event that takes place over and over throughout the day of little things like a trigger, which leads to a routine, which then leads to a reward. So you can look at your life and sort of think about times at which you maybe finish a task that you do all the time over and over, something like showering or brushing your teeth. I know I've definitely been guilty of actually getting out of the shower and wondering if I had washed my hair or not, because I simply wasn't present at the time that I was doing the task. These types of habits or behaviors are so embedded in us that we actually take those habits and we shunt them to the back portion of our brain where we don't need to think about them anymore. Now, this is a really smart thing for our brains to do, because if we had to decide how to wash our hair over and over and over again, it would exhaust us and it would deplete us of important decision-making time that we need for other actual real decisions during the day. So that said, I think showering is a great example of a habit loop, right? So I don't know if you guys have ever just sort of stood outside of yourselves and watched how you shower or brush your teeth, but you do it exactly the same way pretty much every time. Everything down to, just the way you turn on the shower, which becomes a trigger for perhaps you go and grab the towel from the closet, which is the routine, and then you get in and it kicks off this whole set of little routines that, perhaps you wash your hair and then you wash your face and then you do your conditioner, then you shave your right leg, then you shave your left leg, whatever it is, you have your very own habit formation loop that goes on. It's made up of these three very important things that we're going to learn about today. Because once we understand the habit loop, we then are empowered to build any habit we want or break any habit we want. So we become empowered. And as difficult as this time is for all of us, I think the one thing I keep coming back to is, it almost creates a unique opportunity for us to recreate ourselves. And we don't get an opportunity like this one almost ever in our lives, where every single thing we ever knew, from the way we wake up in the morning to working at home to schooling children, these are all new experiences. So it presents an opportunity that I see as very positive, and I want you to hopefully feel empowered to make these changes by the time I explain this all to you. So this three-pronged event, right, and I'm just simplifying a habit loop, is that there's some sort of a trigger, Then there is a routine that takes place, and there's always a payoff or a reward that you get, right? Just feeling good after a shower, just feeling clean, feeling energized, feeling prepared for your day. There's always a reward, even when the habit is a bad habit, right? So I do a lot of coaching in food and wellness, and a lot of people have some bad habits around food, right? So one of those bad habits might be that you're getting stressed out at night and finishing dinner, and the trigger of getting up and then having to do all those dishes and feeling stressed out and feeling anxious and upset. That routine of saying, oh, well, I'm just going to have a few more bites of this food while I'm putting it all away, and we have maybe just even a whole second meal of food, rewards us with some where we feel like we got something just for us, right? There's always a reason that we do what we do. And if we begin to understand that there's a trigger, there's a routine, and there's a reward, we can borrow this system and build any or break any habits that we like. So that said, when I begin coaching people on how to build new routines like we are right now, let's take a simple one, sort of like wanting to drink more water, which is an extremely healthy thing to do, especially right now. When you want to drink more water, you have to remember that it's not your habit to drink water. And because it's estimated that up to 50% of what we do in a day is actually habit, we're not going to remember to drink the water. So I've had plenty of clients say to me, oh, my habit this week's going to be to drink water. And then they come back and they say, I didn't do it. I don't know why. And they start beating themselves up over it. And I say, that has nothing to do with it. Instead, we need to trigger that consumption of water. Maybe we set an alarm on your phone. Maybe we set water bottles out on the countertop. Maybe we get an app on your phone that actually triggers you to drink the water with little awards and rewards. So we trigger the drinking of the water, which gives a reward of us feeling more energized, happier, our hair and skin and nails looking nice, right? So as you can see, when I want to build habits, I can, but I need to understand how to trigger that habit. For me, I needed to break a bad habit of over-consuming Chardonnay. That was a real one that grew out of just when my husband, who was a Broadway actor, still is a Broadway actor, we're not sure, was going to work every night. I was growing a little bit of a habit of being so stressed out when he walked out the door, and I have two children who I have to drive to soccer, do their homework, do all of this. I'd say, oh, I'll have a glass of Chardonnay. And it became habitual every night around 6, having that glass of Chardonnay was triggered by him walking out the door, me feeling stressed, putting in this lovely routine of something that I got a reward from. In order to break that, I needed to understand that I had to trigger it. So setting an alarm on my phone that said, go upstairs, right? By simply changing into a new environment, we can really trigger new behavior. So I would go upstairs instead and do some other routine. Sometimes it was folding laundry. Sometimes it was calling my sister, something that distracted me for just long enough to give me that sort of reward, which was just to have a break at the end of the day where I wasn't doing so many things and so stressed out. So as you can see, you can build new habits, you can break bad habits, all right? Just a couple of more pieces of this, right? It's estimated that 80% of the thoughts that you've actually had already. I want you to really consider your brain from this day forward after you hear about this. Your brain is a looping machine. It's really a computer. Our spirit, who we are is totally separate from this sort of looping computer that likes to send the same thoughts over and over and over and doesn't like change at all. So it kind of likes to send these 80% of recurring thoughts. And if you start to think about it, when you start to notice the repetitive thoughts that you have, they're not often positive thoughts. The brain doesn't want to send positive thoughts. The brain wants to send fear-based negative thoughts to keep you safe. So once you begin to understand that I had that thought about gloom and doom and the sky falling and my financial security going out the window, I've had that, but that's not happening right now. getting kind of used to being able to see when the brain is sending a story that isn't helping you, and grounding yourself at that moment to say, what's actually happening now, not what I'm thinking about might happen, could happen, perhaps will happen in one reality. Instead, I often coach people to just take a moment and stop where you are and touch something in your environment, right? Like I'm just holding my desk right now and I can feel the grain of the wood. I can become present and grounded where I am, and I can stop that sort of negative thought loop. Okay. Those negative thought loops actually become triggers for bad behaviors themselves. So once you start to understand, oh, wow, I'm stressing myself out, which is making me want to eat something because food releases serotonin, I see that just a thought could become a trigger, which leads to a routine. Okay. So when we think about the behaviors that we want to change, we'll talk through some pillars of health, but I want you to really lower the bar right now. I often ask clients to just think about maybe 2 or 3 small things that they'd like to see themselves changing in the next week of their lives. Maybe it's, I don't want to be eating dinner on the couch anymore. I don't want to eat in front of the television. I don't want to multitask while I eat. I'd like to build the habit of, getting out on a walk each morning for 20 minutes. I would like to build the hydration habit, right? So these should be things that are doable and attainable, and teach you a lot about lowering the bar from perfection. It's overrated. I don't want to know anybody who's perfect. I'm not perfect. Perfect people would be no fun. So I'd rather be fun and work from a position always of keeping the bar low so that you can step over that bar, so you can achieve what it is that you've set for yourself and be able to then create momentum of positivity forward on new habits and behaviors. So just a little bit about what's happening, right? So we've talked about the fact that 50% of what we're doing in a day, we're totally unconscious, right? We're totally not there, just like in the shower. Our brain has taken over, the supercomputer's taken over, and that other 50% is saved for us to make a lot of decisions. Right now, you have lost all of your habits. You don't walk to work. You don't walk to the train. You don't even go to work. You go upstairs to the attic, or you go to the bedroom, or whatever it is. You're creating, you're in this a massive creation time of new habits. And I wanted to get on the phone with you guys early enough that I could empower you to say, okay, where am I doing smart things? And where am I doing things that aren't going to serve me down the line if this thing goes on for 2 months? And so how do I set the groundwork now of healthy habits? Do I get up at a certain time? Do I add exercise before the kids are up? Do I begin cooking a meal, making doubles of it and freezing portions so I don't have to cook all the time? Like, what are the smart habits I could create now that will last with me? Because once we create a habit, it gets shunted to the back portion of the brain, and you don't think about it anymore. After a few times of doing that new thing, it becomes your way of being. So I want you to take this wonderful time where everything's been blown up and say, okay, how do I recreate my life in a way that is best for me? Additionally, I wanted to give you a little heads up that because all of your habits and behaviors are gone, you're literally having to decide everything right now. You're having to actually go in and decide, when do I get my kids up? Like, how do I school them? How do I get all these things done? How do I make lunch? Oh, wait, I never had to think about making lunch for all these kids and doing all this stuff. So you're making a lot of decisions all day. So you're probably feeling what I call decision fatigue. By the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock hour, you may be just kind of done. I'm going to talk to you a lot about strategies that will help you take some of those decisions down right now, and continue to lower that bar and continue to see ways in which you could create better habits now. So I am a huge proponent of holistic, agnostic view of health. I believe in anything that helps anyone. We are all human and we are all very, very different. And we all have places in which we have some healthy habits already established. Like maybe our nutrition is really pretty on point, but exercise is really not. I have a book that I wrote that talks about these things called Target 100, where I really kind of organized wellness into 6 pillars. I really want you to think about these pillars as a holistic approach, or a way that you can check in with yourself and say, okay, do I want to look at the pillar of nutrition or movement or exercise, stress, sleep, or hydration this week? Which one of these is falling away from me right now? And which one is really on par right now? Which one is doing well? Just anecdotally, what I'm hearing from a lot of people is that because they're now sitting at a desk doing a lot of video calls like this, we've lost a lot of movement in our day. Additionally, people are really reporting a lack of hydration right now, forgetting to drink water, drinking too much caffeine, maybe too much alcohol. So really thinking through, like, you can use these 6 pillars as a check-in point for where would you like to be focused on building these habits and behaviors, right? And I would, again, not recommend that you're working on more than about 3 in a week, 3 small things that you could begin to habitualize, right, in the next week of your life. So even as we're sitting here, if you want to start jotting down 3 little bad habits you want to undo, or a combination of habits that you want to break plus build, right? That's what I want to be kind of focused on at this time. Additionally, just because health and wellness, I want to kind of highlight that this is one thing that you can control right now. This is one thing that you can be doing well. And it's one thing that I hear from so many of my clients that they just didn't have time for in their own old lives, in their lives of commuting, in their lives of, driving kids to soccer at night. I mean, I can't tell you how much time I've been given back. And I've been studying, and using that time for learning new things about health and wellness, right? So even personally myself, I took a breath workshop that I wanted to take, a breath work workshop yesterday, a seminar on breath work, and it was phenomenal and fascinating. This is a time at which you can connect to and learn from anyone in the world. It's kind of an incredible gratitude-based thing right now. So I want you kind of thinking through this, the empowerment to take care of yourself. There are some more hours in the day on some level that we've been given back, and I want us to focus those on wellness. There is science behind every single one of these pillars that you will be healthier in this moment. You will have a stronger immune system if you focus on your nutrition, right? By eating fruits and vegetables, you can up your antioxidants. You can have, more energy, and you will fight free radicals in your bloodstream. Eating well will give you energy. It will help you sleep better. Addressing things like caffeine intake and alcohol intake will really help if you can kind of really keep them in moderation right now, so that your immune system can do what it needs to do to keep you healthy. Additionally, exercise for sure. We know it boosts your immune system. So even small things that you can do is, if you have to go to a store, prior to my going to a grocery store, I am doing a workout because it boosts your immunity following that workout. So it could be something that you add to your list of things, to your kind of schedule in a day if you have to be out somewhere in public. We know that movement, so I kind of separate exercise and movement from one another. Movement for me is walking, sort of everyday movement, emptying the dishwasher, folding laundry, now, lots of cleaning of my house. Moving is, for us, really important. Not getting stuck sitting all day long, which when we sit, we're kind of like a bent garden hose, right? Where we kind of cut the blood flow off to the legs. We reduce our heart rate. We curl over and we reduce our lung capacity, and we don't take deep breaths when we're seated all day. So sort of throwing those shoulders back, training yourself to get up on some of these calls and maybe put in some headphones and walk while you're talking, even if it's just around the room that you're working in, be it a bedroom or whatever. If you can, get some headphones and walk on calls outside. Stress relief. We know if you will do some stress relief, whatever that is for you, it could be sewing, it could be coloring, it could be talking to a friend, it could be meditating. Any one of those things, stress compromises the immune system. So focusing on, could I download a meditation app this week and do 10 minutes of meditation each day? Could I pull out my crochet kit from the 80s and start doing a crochet? I don't know, anything that will calm and soothe you will put you in a better space right now and will help your immune system. Sleep, beyond a doubt. Really focusing on that 7 to 9 hours where your body, it is the place in which your body detoxifies and detoxes itself. That is your natural time for it to fight any intruders in your body and to really replace, recover, and repair the systems. And hydration. I'm a huge fan of water, water, water. Your entire system is made up of water. We are over 60% water. Your brain and your heart are 72 and 78% water. You need water to be healthy, for your systems to run effectively. So I want you to kind of really think about hitting each one of these pillars, or picking one spot in one or two of these pillars that you could trigger some new behaviors this week. Small things, right? Let me just check. I wanted to make sure that I make sure. And yes, a couple people are talking about meditation. Yes, meditation does fit into stress relief habits. It very much so does. And someone's recommending a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a great read on habit formation. There's another great book called The Power of Habit. I'll type it right here for you guys. It's called The Power of Habit. It's an excellent book on the formation and the brain science behind habits. So I wanted to make sure that as you kind of begin to understand habit formation, and that and nothing is out of your control. And trust me, I'm spending a lot of time with my children these days, like many of you are, and I am using habit formation with them a lot right now, because we are craving habits and rituals with your children. It's really important right now to help trigger new routines and make sure that they're getting those sort of rewards, right? So making sure to set them up in a specific place at a specific time, spending that time there in sort of a more ritualized way will really help them. Also, I mean, my boys are 11 and 15, and 15 is an interesting age. I don't remember being like this at 15, but he is this way. And I am trying to actually trigger and get more help from my children right now. So, small things that I hadn't noticed in the rush of our lives is that when we finish dinner, I'm the one clearing all the plates and putting them in the dishwasher. And I don't know why anymore. They're big enough to do this. So, even that habit formation, just to give you a little peek in on that, is, the first night I was like, okay, guys, you have to start helping and I'll show you how. And we're going to clear the plates and put them in the dishwasher. First night was kind of novel. They were like, what is this? Interesting. Which I'm telling you this so you start to understand how habit formation looks and feels. Night 2, when I said we're going to clear the table, it didn't look so cute. They were like, really? I mean, okay. I mean, they weren't terrible about it, but they were like, okay. Night 3, it was like mutiny. Okay. It's very uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. This isn't fun, right? These are all the messages that your brain is going to send you to as you say, oh, hey, I'm going to try to create an exercise schedule. Your brain is going to create all this negative feedback. It's going to try to get you not to change. Okay. So night 3 of my boys doing that, night 4 and night 5, pretty uncomfortable. They're fighting me. They're telling me, why do we have to do this? I mean, I'm getting all of this feedback, right? And I just keep, saying, this is a new thing we're going to do going forward. And, little by little, by, about a week and a half in, they don't fight me on it. They understand that's their role, right? So habit formation, there's a whole component of emotional things that take place. So be expecting to to not believe in this, be expecting to have pushback, be expecting to have your brain say, oh, why does it matter if I exercise? Why does it matter if I get up on time? Why does it always trying to keep you into this kind of stuck space so it doesn't have to think, so it doesn't have to change. So that said, this is a worksheet I've been giving out. It hit me like a ton of bricks as all of this started happening around, mid-March for us here in New Jersey. I realized that things were really changing so incredibly fast from day to day that I couldn't think anywhere beyond 24 hours and be anything effective. So I wanted to kind of share this with you, and we're going to send this out after the call. I created a worksheet called the Next 24. And again, in my desire to help you lower the bar, in that I'm hoping that you will take some of the stress and pressure off of yourself right now. My husband and I, this came out of our desire to try to like not be crazy people. We would say, like, at the end of the night, let's just have a meeting, just you and I, for 5 minutes, and talk through the next 24. And so that's what I'm going to kind of supply you with. It's nothing crazy. It's just literally took an Excel spreadsheet and laid out hour by hour. And then we kind of went back and forth. And I said, well, I'm going to get up early because I need my workout before everybody gets up or I don't get it done. He said, oh, I'm fine with that. You do that. I'll take the boys for a while. Then you take over. Then I'll go get my workout. Right. So we started communicating about what we needed. And what I found was, and especially for women, as Meredith was saying at the beginning, we give ourselves away. And I want you all to use this as a way to really ask for and get what you need right now for the formation of these new habits that will serve you not just through this crisis, but beyond. Okay. So these are just some sample questions that I made up, and maybe yours would look totally different than mine. But the couple of things that I hope you will take from this is, number one, I'd hope you do this for yourself almost more than for you and your family, if it helps you and your family. But I would like you to think as a person, as a woman who we often give away our exercise. We'll say, oh, okay, well, there's a fire going on. I've got to put out that fire, so I'll just not work out today. And then today turns into 15 days, right? I'm going to try to get you to really think through your day, not because I want you to follow this to the letter, because honestly, again, perfection is overrated. I'd rather that you do this understanding that brain science, we know that if you will take 5 minutes and lay out a mental rehearsal about what your day looks like in the next 24 hours, you're likely to hit about 80% of it. So that's a really good average. And honestly, if I can get a B out of my clients, their health and wellness goes up exponentially. As I say, if you miss the morning walk, but you get the afternoon walk in, oh, wonderful. You got outside, you got some vitamin D. You really did make a difference in your own life. So use this as a way to kind of begin to, kind of do for yourselves. So I'm hoping this is helpful, and I'll send out a copy of it, it looks much better than this, but it's something you could print up daily and just begin to look at. The few things that I have personally found important is to make sure I do get some alone time, and then some connective time, right? So making sure that I'm not just kind of head down, not getting connective family time. And I have this problem right now of kids wanting to be on video games all day, and then we can all be separated. So I'm working on a little bit of alone time, a little bit of connective time. I'm using exercise like medicine right now. I don't think about exercise for any other reason except for mood elevation, energy, and total clarity on why I'm doing what I'm doing and for the rest of the day. The one small goal for the day for me has really been powerful. It should be tiny, but it should be something that will make you feel at the end of the day that you had accomplished something that made you feel like you did it. So, for me, there's an article that's hanging over my head, and I've promised myself I would get that written today. So I stopped thinking about it, right? There's something you can do, or it can be a goal to, make a recipe you haven't tried, or, whatever it is. It could be something related or unrelated to work, family, home. And then finally, my small indulgence every day. And that indulgence, sometimes it's dark chocolate, sometimes it is a glass of wine, sometimes it's, last night it was The Walking Dead. I got to watch that up in my bedroom with my computer, no other people, just really embedded myself. And I looked forward to that all day. We need to have that little tiny thing, whatever that is, to kind of say, okay, I've got something for myself. So, finally, I wanted to give you some uh, real resources at this time. This is my job. I've been doing this for 20 years. I I love technology. I'm so excited that what I've been working on, this connectivity, I've been working on Zoom, doing online meetings for over 4 years. It's so exciting to see the power of what we're going into. There is some gratitude and joy around that, that there are unbelievable resources out there. So I've kind of made this page up, and I'll send this to Meredith as well to be sent out, just a kind of a screenshot of this page. Just these are some resources that have free content right now. Free content a lot of the time, like the meditation apps are incredibly wonderful, and all of these have free content on them right now. There is always an upgrade so you can have more things, but there's no need to spend any money on this. Additionally, you could be going to like a YouTube and getting lots of great meditation content as well. At-home workout apps and services, since we're all kind of relearning, right? Perhaps relearning how to put exercise into our lives in a meaningful way. Peloton, they're offering a 90-day free trial. And remember, Peloton is not about the bike. You don't need a bike. They have yoga, they have mat classes, they have meditation, they have beautiful, amazing boot camps. They really, really are doing unbelievable things, and you don't need a bike and you don't need any equipment for a lot of what they're doing. So you could just stream it right into your home for free. Beachbody has been around for years, but they have unbelievable programs, everything from nutrition to exercise, things like Pilates and yoga as well. Aptive is it's an in-ear audible exercise app that doesn't have the visual piece. But so say you went out on a run, they would be talking you through pace and playing music and things like that. So another excellent one. For anyone, I'm right outside of New Jersey. I work in Manhattan. A lot of my Manhattan clients can't even leave their apartment at this point. So a favorite resource of mine is this woman, Leslie Sansone, who does a walking in your home videos. Trust me, everyone says to me, Liz, really, I'm going to march around my living room, and then they do it, and she's amazing. She's fun. She makes it fun, and it's actually a really wonderful workout if you can't even leave your home at this point. There's a great woman, yoga with Adrienne. She's on YouTube. She's one of the most famous YouTube yoga ladies. But what you're also going to find is that most of your local studios, if you had like me, I had a kickboxing studio that I went to 3 times a week. They jumped on Zoom and they're giving live classes from Zoom. So check your local exercise places as well. Hydration, as I said, hydration is going to be a key for you right now. Making sure there's a cute little app called the Drink Water app. It's free. You can download it. It will remind you to drink your water all day with cute little reminders and then little rewards and things like that that help you. Nutrition tracking right now. For a lot of people, nutrition tracking does give us a sense of control. And there's some free ways that you can do that right now. I love nutrition tracking in my world of, I help a lot of people lose weight. I think of tracking as this wonderful lesson or learning space, not to learn about what we can't have or to restrict ourselves or to take things away, but I flip that on its back and I say, no, nutrition tracking for me is about what can I get away with? How much can I get away with and still get what I want if it was weight loss or better health? Or what can I get away with more than, how many glasses of wine can I have in a week and still get my weight loss? I'd much rather know what I can have now versus what I can't. Fitbits and step counting right now, I can't recommend it enough. As I say, we've lost so much movement. Most of my clients are reduced by about 50% every day in their movement right now. So getting that kind of that reminder back on your wrist that says, hey, okay, I am going to stand for my phone calls, or I am going to get out with my kids twice a day, in ways that I can. And then over here, I've just given you a couple of tips and tricks to get outside twice a day if you can. The vitamin D is actually a great immunity booster, and oxygen. And again, throwing your shoulders back and taking full deep breaths reduces anxiety. That movement piece is going to be critical for your stress levels. Do try something stress relieving every day, whatever that is. It could be meditation. Try to make some face-to-face calls every day using Skype or Zoom or FaceTime or whatever it is that you're using. We really do respond to seeing people's faces as humans. Hearing their voice is one thing, but seeing the way that they're expressing themselves, especially if it's grandparents and things like that. We've been calling the grandparents and having dinner with them every night. We just set up the phone and we can all see each other, and we can tell that they're healthy. They can tell we're healthy. It's also just sharing smiles it's magical. So use the actual face-to-face. Don't get stuck in, keeping your video off all day, or, not using the face-to-face piece. Make sure you're standing for those calls, and limit or avoid indulgences right now. I'm hearing so much, and we're seeing so many funny memes on Facebook about the quarantine 15 and all of the indulgences that are going on. Too much alcohol, too much caffeine, too much sugar, all of those things will reduce your immunity. So learning to avoid overindulgence right now will be a key for you. So I fired through a lot of information. I wanted to make sure to leave a little time here for you to ask some questions. This is where you can find me. You can find me at Liz Josefsberg on every platform, Facebook, and Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. And I would love to hear from you all. And I am doing live 3:30 every day, live cooking classes as well, of how to take kitchen staples and make them healthier. So if that's helpful, just giving you more resources right now of places where you can find some upbeat and actually just very positive feelings about what's going on right now, and staying positive is going to be the key. So
Liz,
thank
where do we get those the cooking classes? How do we
Yeah,
access?
so those are actually going to be through Vitamin Shop. So the Vitamin Shop, where you can buy your supplements and things like that, on their Instagram page every day at 3:30. And you can also go to my page, Liz Josefsberg, on Instagram, and you'll see how to get there. And every week we're planning out 5 things. So today I'm doing a lightened up macaroni and cheese. I'm trying to use staples that you would find, pastas and things that you would find in your pantry, and making them healthier, things that are family friendly as well.
Fantastic. I want to, first of all, Liz, thank you so much. I've learned so much. I know it struck me. Oh my gosh, I drink so much water at work. And I really haven't been now. And so that was one of the things I wrote down. I want to encourage everyone now to use either the Q&A or the chat to write questions. I think some of you are sharing resources. I wanted to kick it off. I have a question about sleep. So I love everyone should sleep more. I know last night I was up all night, could not shut my brain off. And I don't know if that's meditation would help, but what are some things we can do so it's not about how much time we allot to sleeping, but just like when we're in bed, being able to sleep?
Yeah, the quality of sleep right now, I'm hearing a lot about this. Yes, I think every single one of the pillars, and I'm going to just go back here for a second, is every pillar is actually intimately linked, right? That's what this little thing is meant to kind of show you here is, when we are stressed out, We often don't eat very well, and maybe we consume too much caffeine or alcohol. We forget to hydrate. Because we're not eating well, we don't have a lot of energy, so we don't feel like doing our exercise or getting out or moving, and we do disrupt our sleep, right? So I would say every single one of these pillars is going to help. I have noticed that a few things right now, the small things that make a big difference. Number one, not consuming too much news right now. Really finding a way to limit your intake of news, to perhaps I'm doing a small bit in the morning. I choose the morning because I feel like whatever's happened over the course of the night, I'm brightest. I'm a morning person. So if you're a morning person, maybe do it in the morning. And if you're a nighttime person, don't do it anytime after lunch, right? The further we get into the evening, the more and more fear that we can see actually resonates in the brain, right? We see that people are constantly kind of self-medicating at night. So I'd love for you to reduce the consumption of news later in the day, reduce the consumption of social media as well, increase getting outside for fresh air in that 5, 6, 7 o'clock hour now that it's light enough. Long walks will help your body adjust to the change in light outside. Dimming your lights, making sure you're dimming your lights and getting off of screens if you can 30 minutes to an hour before bed. Moving to an actual book to read or playing some board games with your family would be a great way to kind of begin to get off of screens, listening to a book and just laying down. Meditation for sure. And many of these apps that I gave you, they have nighttime meditations that are either stories that they read in your ear or they are actual nighttime meditations that you can do. So I hope some of that is helpful. So many things, but exercise, movement, and meditation, I would put in the top 3.
That's fantastic. I know, I was thinking also something my husband and I started, but I think this is something that people can do themselves. And we started this before COVID, was before bed. We just said to each other something we were grateful for. And it was something I always kind of like used to mock, like those gratitude journals. But there is something about kind of turning off the bad and focusing on the good before you go to sleep that really did reframe everything.
Well,
Um,
and there's science behind this. It's so funny. We've been all being, you look back to all of the religions through all of the years and all of the centuries, they were based in so much gratitude. Now we know from looking at the brain under an MRI, when we are grateful, literally, even just trying to think of something you're grateful for, there's a huge release of serotonin. And that release is in the actual low dose, like a low dose antidepressant. That's how much serotonin gets released when you just really spend time. So what you felt was real. It was a real payoff. So I love this idea of that gratitude journal right by the bed. 3 small things, jot them in. It can be something so small. We know now that it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be something giant. That even this act of searching for something to be grateful for releases that serotonin.
I love that. Somebody asked if naps kind of are positive or negative. Is it an indulgence that we can look forward to, or is it something that kind of makes it more challenging to have a good night's sleep when you need to have a good night's sleep?
Well, I would say it's so interesting to me that every single person, and this is what I've learned after 20 years of working with people, have such different needs and and at different ages have different needs. That as we age, a nap actually can be quite rejuvenating in the middle of the day, and then we sleep better at night. But until that point, what we do find is that it then usually becomes more difficult to get to sleep on time. That having a more regular bed and wake time is probably the greatest thing you can do for yourself, and I'm the queen of the bullseye, right? Like the archery target. That's what my whole book is based on, is you don't need to be perfect, right? You don't have to say I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, but aiming for that bullseye and saying I'm aiming for 10 o'clock, and you get in there somewhere between 9:45 one night, 10:30 the next night, 10 o'clock the next night. You're in that kind of that range. of getting to bed around the same time and getting up around the same time, even on the weekends if you can, right? That there is a lot of science emerging around sleeping in on a day doesn't help you, throws off those circadian rhythms. Naps can throw them off, and based on age. And then, that bedtime being stable is probably the best idea.
So we have to be careful not to over binge Tiger King.
Yes.
Um, so we have a couple questions. Number one, your Instagram.
Yeah.
Is it your name?
Yes. So I'll just pull this back up. So it's at lizjosefsberg.com. And you'll see that is a funky spelling. That's why I like to put it up here for you guys. It's an Josef like Frank, S like Sam, Berg. So
I just want to recommend Liz's book, Target 100, which you can also get on Amazon. Michelle asked, do you recommend flavored water like hint water?
I personally ask my clients to go with about 70% just real water, and then make that other 30% up. For me, I love seltzer. I love, I have a coffee every morning, maybe a flavored seltzer. I love a kombucha cocktail at night where I, put it in a wine glass with a little splash of kombucha. So my other 30% are kind of like fun things that still hydrate me. Even coffees and teas can be in that 30%, because we know now is, even though they have a little bit of a diuretic effect, it's not enough to offset the benefit of the hydration within that cup of coffee.
Fantastic. I know some of you are sharing other resources. There's Mad Fit for workouts that have apartment workouts. On YouTube, people are saying going to bed with Calm with Matthew McConaughey reading you a bedtime story. All right, all right, all right. Yeah. So lots of other tips that people are sharing.
I love it. There are so many good ones out there.
Chat. Sarah Ann asked, is it scary supporting celebrity clients? Did you ever feel like you needed a master's degree to continue your career related to nutrition and wellness? So two different questions there.
Super interesting. You know what? No, it's not scary at all to support the celebrity clients, because honestly, we're all human and we all have the same thoughts and fears and anxieties. And by really just relating on a human level about what those are, what our insecurities are, the relationships that I've created, for some of you guys don't know about me, I have worked with many celebrities to help them lose large amounts of weight. People like Jennifer Hudson and Jessica Simpson, Charles Barkley, Katie Couric, Al Roker's currently a client of mine. The relationship is what is important to me. Understanding that I have been where they are. I know what they're feeling. I know what I'm just a woman trying to live her healthiest life right now. So I've never felt fear around that or anxiety around that when I relate to them in a real way. And now we're just dear, dear friends, because it's such an intimate thing to help another human achieve the goals that they want to achieve. It takes trust and love to really have that take place. So those are really trusting and loving relationships, like I have with all of my clients at this point, because I just care immensely about them. Interestingly enough, I have a master's degree in opera. I was a professional actress for many years. I was a Broadway actress in Les Miserables and Showboat, things that people don't know about me. I then transitioned 20 years ago into this health and wellness career. And I feel like I probably got a doctorate not because I went to school, and I would recommend this almost more than schooling. I've done a lot of schooling outside, gotten a lot of certifications and things like that, but working inside of a place that you're passionate about on every level. I was a part of the science team at Weight Watchers for 11 years. I was a part of the science team at Lifetime Fitness. We were writing and working with doctors and nutritionists and scientists all the time. I was around them, sucking up and like a sponge, getting their knowledge, but getting it in a real world sort of experienced place, I think taught me more than school ever taught me. Even when I was an actress, I remember getting out of my master's degree and I was cast in a Broadway musical called Showboat at the time. And I got there and everything that school taught me had not prepared me. I literally didn't know who the stage manager was and what their role was and why I needed to go and see them, or what the paperwork was that I needed to fill out for the union, and things that I was like, how did my schooling not prepare me, but then getting in and doing the work on the ground floor. So, at Weight Watchers, I was on the ground floor making less than $10,000 a year for a couple of years as a leader out in the field, just helping other humans lose weight. And I learned so much with hands-on experience. So I guess it's personally, I've found that working in the field was the thing that made me more effective.
Like I said, and so much has changed over 20 years. I
Oh, wow.
remember 20 years ago living in New York and doing Weight Watchers, and no one was talking about that kind of holistic approach with meditation and exercise. It was all about calories and kind of very
Calories
old
and
school.
being afraid of fats and fat-free crazes, and then we went through the the low carb sort of Atkins phase, and then we went into the keto phase now, and I mean, just watching all these phases come through and being able to learn from the science of. I'm also, one of my nicknames in the industry is the diet guinea pig, because I don't just study the diet, I do the diet. So I will gain sometimes 10 to 12 pounds and lose it on whatever program I'm testing or studying, so that I get the actual feel for what it is. Because I feel like there's nothing that gives you more of an education than experiencing it for yourself.
Wow. Well, I think you're right. And some of the most important things we can do right now for ourselves, especially in this time, is connect with each other. I feel like people are seeking out those moments of saying, how can I connect? And something like this, when we're, even if it's virtual, I feel like I'm in the room with you. I feel like just seeing the chats, like I'm hearing the voices and feeling like we're together. For us at JWI, this time of year is when we usually talk about our flower project. And that's when we send flowers to women living in domestic violence shelters across the country. And I think now more than ever, we can get a sense of how important it is when you're going through a time of trauma, when you're going through a time of incredible danger and isolation, to have somebody reach out to you, whether it's a text from a friend checking in, whether it's a call like this one, or whether it's flowers. And I say that because, I thank everyone who's on the call today. You will be getting a message from us. Our flower project launches on Wednesday, and I do really hope that you'll support this, not only for all the women in the shelters, but also to support JWI's work to empower all women and girls and create a world that's safe and secure for all women. We are going to be sending a recording of this to everyone. Liz, I can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom. And I also will be following up with Sandy Abrams, who is a dear friend of mine, is going to be doing a breath workshop for us, that will be sending out a date. She's known as the CEO. So we'll be doing this, but we're going to continue to do our virtual leadership lunches as often as possible, because now more than ever, we need to hear from each other and learn from each other and work in community. So thank you all. Thank you, Liz. Be safe, be
You.
healthy.
I really love
And
being
we'll
here
see
with you
you
today.
soon.
Thank you.